Thank you. And now for the questions if we're ready. Wait. Since a bridge collapsed in Minnesota, improving infrastructure has been a political buzz phrase. Define for our audience the infrastructure needs facing this city and tell us how other cities like New York, Philadelphia, Boston, San Francisco, or Chicago, with much older infrastructure than ours, are handling these issues.
I always thought that if we could wanted to improve the infrastructure in this country, probably what we should do would be to drop a bridge with a school bus full of kids on it into the middle of the Mississippi River. We did that. And the government of Minnesota reacted very rapidly and did nothing. There has been not $1 increase in infrastructure spending on bridge maintenance or on bridge construction in the state of Minnesota. You've asked questions that relate to other people. I want to stay focused on Houston. We have literally sat here and watched our city crumble underneath us. Paul's talking about, gee whiz, we don't want to tax people. Based on the condition of the streets, every driver in Houston pays $438 a year extra because we have bumpy, crummy streets. So, I mean, this is not an issue of do you pay. It's pay me now or pay me later.
The problem with Prop 1 is that we're talking about a fund that's $300 to $400 million a year that will have to be paid from businesses and homeowners predominantly, including churches, schools, and charities. That is the size of 35 to 47% of all property taxes collected in the city. We only net $846 million in property tax collections, and what we have with Prop 1 is we're talking about a fund that is 35 to 47% that size. We don't need to spend that type of money solving this problem and taxing our taxpayers and putting an overburden on them.
Thank you. Paul? For the past decade, since the days of Mayor Brown's recommended drainage fee that has become known as the rain tax, the city has been wrestling with the drainage issue. Having witnessed the devastation caused by consistent flooding, the consensus is that we need to address and improve drainage. What's the difference between the drainage fee proposed under the Brown administration and the Renew Houston Prop 1 charter amendment? And if defeated, what alternative means for funding would you propose to provide additional funds necessary to rehabilitate our deteriorating infrastructure and improve drainage?
The difference between the rain tax proposed by Mayor Brown and this tax is that this tax is 4 times larger. Mayor Brown talked about an $84 million fund in 2003. By all estimates, between what we've seen in published accounts, we're talking about a $300 to $400 million fund in 2010. That is way too much money to be basically vacuum cleaned out of everybody's wallets and checkbooks. And there are other areas you can get funding for right now. I'll submit that Metro owes the city at least $94 million, maybe $294 million, depending upon who you believe, in funds that could be transferred for streets that the city has not demanded, but they're due. And in addition, the water rates that we just passed, in my opinion, include a 12% plug. The O&M expense went from $371 million to $415 million last year alone in the middle of recession. That's $44 million that could be used for this because we're overcharging people on water rates now.
I wish you'd asked questions that we had time to answer. In the first
we need about 10 minutes on this.
That's right. Well, I mean, that was like 3 questions. Now you can start my time. In the first place, I just want to make sure that we all understand something. We keep talking about, quote, the rain tax. It's interesting to me that the tax man keeps calling this a tax. He knows it's not a tax. It doesn't have anything to do with a tax. It's not assessed as a tax, collected as a tax, whatever. It is a user fee. As far as the size, 60% of the dollars he's talking about are part of the current property tax. It's not new dollars. And it would be a really good thing if we would start talking about what we're really representing. The current dollars that are spent to pay debt service are going to be converted over time to buy new streets. Sorry, they're making